everyone, it's Vicky, Director of the MindBodyFood Institute, and we're back with you for another coaching interview with a wonderful coach who is going to share a lot of wisdom with you today on her journey. And we welcome Rebekka Mars, embodiment coach. Great to have you here, Beck. So great.
Oh, thank you, Vicky. Yes, I'm excited to be here. And so I met you when I was doing the interview. It's so fun to be interviewed. So
yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
So would you mind just introducing yourself to our students, our future coaches in the making, and that way they can get a bit of a sense of where you've come from, where you're at, and where you're going?
Yes. I'm Rebekka, embodiment coach. I toyed with what to call myself the whole first year of my coaching business. So my background is in yoga and personal training. I'm teaching yoga and personal training clients for 10 years. And it really evolved. I plucked myself out of the Midwest of the United States, Missouri, which is in the center of the country, and moved down to Florida, which is near the Gulf of Mexico. And so states away, I had this real clean slate about 3 years ago. And I realized, what do I want to do? And I knew I wanted to keep teaching yoga, and I really loved working one-on-one with people. And I didn't really know what the term coaching was. I knew of life coaches, but I never really thought I'd be a life coach. And it evolved. I had some friends that were really getting into this new wave of coaching then, and I feel like it's just surged in the last few years. And here we go. I always loved interacting with my clients, whether it was through fitness or after yoga class. People always wanted to talk more, so this talking came up a lot, conversations, and that's when the real magic started to happen for people. And I love just getting people in their bodies. I would see clients that we'd meet for, toning their bodies or losing weight, and then they'd go through this whole evolution. They just gained the confidence. Some of them found romance, job changes, and it was just really the strong validation that I needed to see that, what I was doing was so much more than teaching yoga and coaching fitness. So I decided to start a coaching business a little over 2 years ago. I hired a business coach, and we just finished up with a second year working together in December. And I've dabbled in all sorts of practices, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but that leads me to here, and I continue to move forward this year. It's been fun to be free for a few months, not have an actual coach to tell me business strategy. So I've been massaging some of the stuff on my own that I know I've learned in the last 2 years. And in terms of where I see myself going, I'm actually launching a yoga teacher training this year, which I've realized that I can absolutely blend my yoga teacher stuff that I love so much with the coaching. And really the teacher training programs are very, very coaching oriented, though we don't call it that. So that's in the fall. And then I gradually will continue to build those. I would love to run retreats around the world, incorporating the yoga teacher training part, as well as just coaching and the yoga, the living, the fitness, the wellness. So yeah, I think that gives you my whole spiel.
Excellent. You've gone on quite a bit of a journey, and I love how you're blending now the things that you're passionate about, that you've been doing for such a long time, and obviously have a tremendous amount of wisdom and wealth of knowledge with, and you're moving that forward in a way that feels comfortable for you. But one thing that you said then about when you started working with people to tone or to do this or that you started having the conversations with them, and that's when the magic started happening. And I like to tell the students that coaching in a very simplistic form is having a powerful conversation. The kind of conversations where you create a sacred space with your client and they can allow themselves to be vulnerable and share their struggles and feel heard by someone who is on their side, listening to them and helping draw out their awareness and perspectives of what can you do moving forward. So what did you discover about those conversations when you started having them that was actually magical to help them move forward?
I love that. Absolutely. The conversations, that is what makes coaching, in my opinion, because it is something that we're now doing virtually. You can have a client halfway around the world or a coach halfway around the world and communicate. So it's all in the power of words and communication, as well as email and the written word. So I really just think it gives you the platform when you decide you have to be a leader in one way or another. And I think those are, especially the strong coaches, do have a really strong leadership quality to them, and they can handle these conversations because they are powerful and magical, and they can get difficult too. So I think a lot of the magic for me within those conversations, they they'd start to happen kind of surface layer, and then we just kind of dig. And I use the word massage too, and I feel that a lot in terms of, what I do and when I have a client, and we're just kind of massaging the topic and the words, and you keep getting and needing a little deeper and deeper. And yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but I feel like that's the way most of my coaching conversations go now, is like kind of start on the surface, and then you have to own the conversation, and then throughout it, you just feel. And I think it is a gift if you're called to coaching. It's something that is inside of your heart and inside of your core to do. And once you can continue to massage that for yourself too, like really getting used to that voice, and the conversations happen even more regularly. You'll find yourself having these conversations with random people at the grocery store or whatever too, just because you get so used to having those types of conversations. And it's an important tool to use and exercise too, to get used to being okay talking to everybody.
I love the term massaging. I used to be an ex-massage therapist way back in the day. We're talking nearly 20 years ago when I first did my training. It's a long time. But I like the term massaging. That's a really nice way to describe the kind of coaching conversations that we get to have with our clients. I think it's a fantastic term. Just gently coaxing out the underlying issues or knots that's going on in their thinking processes. What did you discover for yourself about working with a coach? So you said that you worked with a business coach for the last 2 years. How did that actually impact you on a personal and professional level? And how did that perhaps push you forward to what you are doing now?
Awesome. Yeah. And it, just like the coaching, it just was something that I felt and I knew. And I found my coach through my friends that I knew. I mean, not close friends, but I knew these girls from Missouri, where I was living, and moved to Florida. And they were friends with my coach. And so in this circle of ladies, I was following them all, and my coach really stood out. And I realized I was following her emails, email after email. I'd read them all. And then finally, one of them, it just hit me on the right day. And I booked a call with her, free strategy call. And I realized that what I was missing, and in that conversation with her, I realized, the business strategy is huge. And I think that's a big part of too, as we were chatting before we hit record, just how coaching is booming and anybody can call themselves a coach. And I knew that I needed something to make me feel even more valid as a coach. So she was a business coach and is a business coach. And it made such an impact, because I knew, just like with coaching, I love the visualization of having a coach to help fill a gap. You're here, you want to get here, and this is the coaching for whatever you're coaching on. And I knew for me that I was here and I needed to get to here with the business, just straight up business, and what was lacking in the conversation. Talking to her, she definitely was calling out some points of like, well, what are you charging? What are you doing strategy wise? And it was like this whole, because I'm this yoga person and kind of woo woo spirituality. And so to think of the business structure of a business was something that I knew was a weak point. So the impact, of course, was there, just learning strategy after strategy for 2 years. And at times it was overwhelming. Her programs were a year long. So you were in it for the year, whether you wanted to be or not, which was kind of good. There are plenty of moments where I thought, I didn't really need a whole year, but I think in hindsight it was best, because it was almost like a master's program for me, like 2 years of just straight education in virtual coaching. And I think professionally too, I learned a lot. Even though I've always had this professional edge, it was important for me to also be with a community of coaches, and some of them were officially, certified through levels and levels of like CTI and some of those institutes. Some were, degrees and degrees of just, fabulous qualifications for what they were coaching in. So it really up-leveled me too, just to be in this energy of powerful people, all of us needing the one thing, which was a business coach. So
awesome. So just on the topic of different qualification levels, how important do you think it is to have the qualification? And when I say qualification, I mean more the training. I mean, not so much having that piece of paper from university and being highly accredited in different things, because that doesn't necessarily mean that someone has that call to coach or that passion or even those skills to coach. They might have a lot of knowledge, but not practically able to put that into action. So I'm talking more of learning the fundamentals, learning the foundations of how to really coach with someone? Obviously, you would have got the benefit of being coached and learning from that to help propel you. But what are your thoughts on that, Beck?
I absolutely believe in the qualifications. I'm a credentials person, period. And yes, those credentials can come from actual pieces of paper. And for me, it is like a yoga training and my personal training certifications and keeping all that up to date. And with the coaching, like I said, I kind of landed in it. And I didn't even know at the time, I didn't do the research of finding these institutions. And offhand, in the US, I know of CTI and I think it's IPEC. I think those are the leader ones. I'm sure there's others around the world. And they've been around for decades. And it's really fun to look at their history too, because it's, for me, they sound a lot like yoga programs. And when you go through a yoga program, like the teacher training, you really do a lot of self-work. So I felt, as I talked to some friends, I really did get a lot of that self-growth from my teacher training that a lot of my friends said they got by going through a coaching program. That being said, I still believe in going through something that is validated, that, you know, right now it's tricky because I'm not sure what it's like in Australia, but I think it's global at this point, like the beach body craze of all these, you know, you're in the MindBodyFood. It drives me nuts. These people are not qualified. You know, they're trying to coach people through fitness and food. And oh my gosh, you know, that is something that we really need to have extensive training in. So I think there's kind of this wiggle room zone. It really depends what you're coaching. But at the end of the day, I do think everybody should have like a level 1 coaching institute training, just because I think there is the structure that they provide and how to interact with people. And especially if you're just getting into it and you've never ever, you know, I have my personal training background, so I've had that for years of one-on-one work with people, but some people are going into the coaching world not ever doing that, and they just have this calling. So I do think that it's important, especially if you're seeing this as some long-term thing, to find some sort of program and not just working with like a business coach. For me, I knew that was not the end all. That for me was getting strategy, but that did not by any means make me, you know, ready to call myself like some super awesome coach. Yeah. And the beach body thing just makes me cringe. Like you threw your head back there. That's how I feel when I see it. And I think it's the word coach is getting kind of watered down because of that. Mm-hmm. And I almost wish there was a different word, but I don't feel like there's going to be a different word. I just hope that there is some sort of, and I think some of my friends say there has to be at some point some system, but I don't think it's anytime super soon. You know, what can people even do? So it's kind of up to the consumer to do the research in hiring a coach, and then it's up to the coach to have the credentials that they feel comfortable putting out there and hoping to attract, you know, the blend of client to coach and coach to client.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one, observing, particularly in the nutrition world, in the health coaching world. We're very particular right from module 1 that a coach is this and a coach is not any of these things unless you are otherwise qualified to prescribe meal plans, to assess dietary analysis, to be recommending certain medications or ways of doing anything. So we're very, very clear from the get-go what a coach actually is and does and stands for professionally and ethically, and what a coach is not. So it's very, very important, I think, in any training that someone chooses to go through, is to make sure that that's very clear and to understand what the boundaries actually are. Because otherwise, if you don't have that grounding in coaching to then take those tools, methods, and strategies and put them into a unique way of coaching people that will come to you over time, then all it does, which is what we've seen in the industry, is it diminishes the impact and the professionalism of people who are qualified and are coaches who can create change. So it's really important. So the other thing that I'd like to know, importance-wise, is a coaching niche. I often say to the students, you can't help everyone. As much as we would love to, we just can't help everyone. And if we're not very clear on who it is that we're meant to serve, on the people that we know we best can help, and the problems that we understand how to help our clients overcome, then we're going to be very confusing in our marketing. We're not going to be speaking the language of our ideal client for them to know that we're the person that is the best one to work with. So what's your take on that, in finding a niche and allowing that to evolve or discover for yourself, who is it I'm meant to help?
So important. So with my business coach, that was the first thing we talked about when we started. It was a group program that I was in. So that was like month one and two, playing with niche and watching it evolve. Because then in my second year working with my coach, we had some new people join. So I was kind of in two groups. So I got to witness it again. And I personally went through it again of reclaiming my niche. And there's so many different techniques and there's different formulas that I've seen different coaches do, like in Facebook groups and whatnot, of, you know, how to find your niche or have a niche statement. But it's, like you said, it's absolutely true. You can't serve everybody, and your niche will attract your client. And if you're not specific enough, I think the fear comes up of, oh, but you know, if I don't serve everybody, then, you know, I'm going to turn people away, or I'm not going to attract the right ones. But I just have to keep reminding myself there are billions of people on this planet. You know, how many clients do you actually need? You don't need hundreds or thousands, most likely. So you'll attract those genuine, you know, the top 10 or whatever it is that you're meant to attract. But you really do. It's just like anything you're trying to manifest or create. It's like the more specific you can get, then the universe or whatever you believe in will provide those people to you. But it was definitely a practice for me. And we did some various things like asking just our Facebook community, just on your regular page, since Facebook is so huge. I think in most, I'm not sure if you guys use Facebook for your group, you said. Thank goodness for Facebook. But, you know, talking to the 1,000+ people that you probably have in some sort of connected network, you know, who do I serve? And just really putting yourself out there a little bit more too, and having your friends tell you know who you are, and starting to find the qualities that you already are exuding out. Like that was one way. And then also a lot of journaling and picturing the ideal person that you want to work with, and, you know, creating this person. You could even name the person. It could be a person that you know or don't know. But, you know, what is it that they're going through, and what it's every specific, what's their age? Are they male, female? Are they, and so a lot of practices like that too. And then what's their why? You know, what are they needing? And so it's really this honing in again, and just continuing to get all the way into where you think you're eliminating people when really you're not. You're just zoning in on that top person, and then that person will be embodied in more than one person. Yeah, so niche, absolutely. And then to be able to speak your niche too, like turn it into your little elevator pitch, like being able to talk and have it in that one quick statement where you can say, like, I'm Rebekka Mars, I serve blah, blah, blah. So huge. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really important and very essential step to setting up your business the way that you want to deliver your services. So on delivering your services, and you fresh off the back of working with business coach for 2 years, how has that changed the way that you now run your business? How do you offer your services to your clients? Do you rely on just one method of the hour, you know, or do you leverage your time with different avenues? Would you mind sharing a bit about that?
Yeah, so it really does depend on the person. So working with my business coach, she definitely had a pretty specific formula that she would recommend to all of us in terms of selling and finding clients. But when it came to what we actually offered our clients, she did allow and suggest to have, you know, find your own groove, do what felt really right to you. And even just today, I was rewriting, you know, what I see my next, because right now I'm kind of winding down with some. I have one active client, but it's sort of this hiatus because I've been preparing this teacher training. It's like, okay, so moving forward, how many people can I accommodate? You know, how much energy do I have and time do I have? And then what would I like to offer? So if I picture my ideal person, who are they? You know, I wrote out some traits of people I'd like to attract. And then, you know, what could I give? And, you know, at what rate would I give? And it all has to feel good. And your body is such a good tool for all of these decisions that it seems like, so much strategy, but you still have to trust your intuition on a lot of it. So, you know, offering like a 1-hour call has been something that I've always done. Unlimited texting and emailing is what I've always done. But then there is some wiggle room. And I usually, in the first call with somebody, I do a complimentary call. Usually it lasts up to an hour, even longer sometimes. I try to not restrict that, because to me, it's all about serving, especially in that first conversation you have. And you can really start to get some stuff moving for people. And even not alone, that just might be the one time you talk to them. You may not talk to them ever again, or maybe years later they come back to you. But I think it's all about giving value whenever you can. But with the other offerings, you know, I've done everything from, right now, my client needs me every morning, which this is crazy for some people, but I will text her as soon as I can. Did you get up and work out? Did you exercise today? And I just have to remember it takes me literally 30 seconds to send that to her, and it makes her whole day different. And other people in the past, I've actually recorded like a 5 to 10 minute workout for them that's specific to them after doing some Skype sessions where I see their body. What I do is also includes the physical. So I try to make my clients do that, but not all of them have wanted to. So I try to set up a time where they can stand and use Zoom, FaceTime, Skype. I can see their posture, and then I will create workouts. And that takes some time. And some people would say that is crazy, but that just feels right to me. And that's what I've always wanted to offer. I also have a whole other part of what I do that is yoga related. And so people know me as a yoga teacher, but I don't necessarily, use that with all my clients. Not everybody wants to learn more about yoga, even though I kind of changed the language. I just don't mention yoga, but it's still a lot of what I offer. But I do have a whole sort of additional email series that I can send out that is related to all the yamas, the niyamas, the philosophy of yoga and all that. So it's definitely evolved. So when I first started, it wasn't this well-rounded, but now, 3 years in, I've kept some content, and I've had a lot of fun with creating kind of this, person-to-person offering. Really just depends.
I like to remind the students that every piece of their past, every experience that they've had, whether it has been official study, professional experience, or personal obstacles, challenges, or discoveries, all of that can be put into their coaching relationship and how they work with a client. So therefore, it actually gives you a lot of freedom in being able to tailor your coaching specifically for the individual that you're working with. As you mentioned, there are aspects of yoga that you might use in your coaching relationship without actually naming yoga, but you're still utilizing this knowledge in how to help people get in tune with their bodies and be more mindful. I have that similar thing with meditation, because meditation is not always so understood or welcomed. But when I use aspects of it, such as breathing or visualization techniques or relaxation techniques, people are slowly being introduced to a form of meditation or a way of moving from stress to relaxation, and they're feeling the benefit. And it's in that feeling the benefit that they become more open-minded as to, I really enjoyed this. This helped me feel so much better. So I'm more interested now to try these things. So it's great that we can bring those aspects of our loves and things that we know that work into a coaching relationship to really benefit our client if it's necessary. And the other thing that I liked what you said, Beck, is that touching in with this particular client that you're working with at the moment, just for a text message in the morning, it does have such tremendous value, because some clients require a lot more accountability than others, and that comes down to their temperament. So that's another thing that we've discussed in our live webinar lectures for some of the modules thus far, where some clients will ask you to have that high level of accountability, and there might be some negotiables there as to how you deliver that for them, in what way feels most comfortable. And then there's going to be clients who are quite self-motivated and will stick to what they say they are going to do in that week, and you won't need to follow them up so much. So it's about having that open communication with your client as to, what do you need from me? How much accountability are you looking for here? What can I offer you that will actually help you to meet these expectations or these commitments through the week, so that next week when you come back, we can see how well you've done, how far you've come, and we can start to prepare you to move beyond that. So I think that's super, super important for everyone to remember, that you can bring these different elements in and you can put them into the relationship tailored to that individual that you're working with.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And some of the people that were in my group a lot of them live in San Francisco, which is the Silicon Valley. All of these apps and websites are from there. And a lot of these people are very techy. I'm not necessarily. I know I have an edge in some ways, but it's fascinating, all the apps that some of my coaching friends know of and use in their coaching, Trello and all these, different, and even Google Docs. Some people use Google Docs, but there's a lot of programming now too, where you can connect with, one or several, and they can log food, or you can send them things. It's just crazy. There's so many virtual ways now, which is neat since we're all getting into this virtual business. It's nice to see that there is growth. Hopefully it all works well and, no glitches and things. But I do today, or this week, I actually sent out a meditation app to I have another small group that I still email. But, you know, just offering, when I see an app come up, it's like, ooh, this would be great for my group or my clients, and send them that. And so I try to also find those tools that I won't necessarily use in coaching, but so easy to just send something like that on. So I also try to add some of that value. And yes, I could go on and on.
Oh, I think that's awesome, because it lets them know that you're still thinking of them, that you're still there should any of them need you again to progress further. And it's just a nice piece of value to share.
Right. And I think that was what I was thinking, is just adding the value. And like you said, and just everybody has, and that's where that first call, or even it could be the first month. I like to keep it at a 3-month minimum. And I'm not sure what you suggest to your clients, but it's really hard to offer just one coaching call. And that's one big thing that I learned from my coach too. And some coaches still do it that way, like a one-off, or there's different terms for it, but just to say, hey, here's 1 hour with me, it's $200, and, you know, see you later. But offering more of a program, or whatever you want to call it, like a 3-month commitment. And then some people do longer. Of course, she was encouraging us to do like 6 months, 8 months, 10, 12, because then as a coach, the income piece comes in as well, where you're not constantly like, oh my gosh, I need more clients, you know, to have that longevity of income. So then you can feel like relaxed around that, and then just trust that you at least have that duration with your client. And then in terms of content, again, it's like sometimes it takes the first month to even get to know them and get to know what they need for the accountability measures or food journaling or whatever it is that you're going to provide them. Because I think it's crazy to think that, and I guess some people just need that one session, but I think the deeper work can happen over more than a month. And then, yeah.
Oh, definitely. Especially when you send a pre-questionnaire and you ask them what are the things that they'd like to change, and they have this list. Yeah, you know, it's totally unrealistic to assume that we can help everybody with every single problem in every way possible in one session. It's just not possible. So instead of trading hours for dollars, we do encourage, once they know exactly who their ideal client is going to be, who they're going to be serving, what the message is, how they can help them, we then help our students clarify, how are you best going to do that? What is going to be the structure of your business, and how you will deliver different programs and services, creating products, things that are going to be super valuable for the people that you know you can help and you want to work with, where they're going to get the best value from you. And that's not just going to happen in one session. So, for example, if you create a program that you could use for a 6 or a 12-week introduction program, it's something that you could then use one-on-one with your ideal client. You could use in a group program in person or online for the duration. You could then turn that into a webinar series. You could turn it into a workshop series. You could turn it into a day or 2-day retreat with some fun activities around that. So it's being very versatile. Every piece of content that a coach can create can be reused in different ways, because it's all specifically designed for your ideal client. And then again, it does help with not just trading the hours for dollars and worrying about, do I have enough clients to get me through this week? It's more about being very strategic, as well as offering value. Strategic business-wise, but valuable to your clients, who will absolutely appreciate having that work with you one-on-one, or having the additional support in a group setting, whether it's in person or online. It's so valuable. And that's one of the beautiful things about being a coach and running a business online. You can still do group programs or workshops in person, speaking engagements. You can create products and programs to deliver online. And that's where the versatility comes in, which makes it really exciting. It's just thinking, what new worksheet or workbook can I create for my client, put it up as a product, or work with my client, or turn it into a workshop or a free live webinar where people can actually join my next intake. So there's so many opportunities for people to provide value while still building a business and life that they love, doing work that they love, helping people that they feel a sense of love for.
Yeah, totally.
What would you say has been your biggest lesson so far about entering into the coaching world and working with people? Maybe I know last year, which is how we met, you asked me to speak on your Modern Mindfulness series, which was so much fun. And I didn't actually know until earlier this year when you emailed me and you told me that I was your very first interview online. So I felt really privileged. That was so, so lovely to help be a part of you getting seen and being and showing up. And you've started doing something this year on your Facebook group or your Facebook page, doing a Monday mood video, which has been fantastic to see you step up every Monday and hold yourself accountable to challenging your fear of being seen. So maybe on that aspect, what have you learned about actually being a coach, being in business, and allowing yourself to be seen? What's been the biggest lesson for you in actually putting yourself into the limelight, as it were?
Yes. So yeah, two things come to mind. I'll try to keep it concise, but I'm a procrastinator as long as I can remember. It's just part of me. Maybe it's because I'm a Leo. I don't know, but I've always been like this. I'll get it done when I get it done. And I kind of was, the whole theme of my first year of working with my coach was like, okay, like I'm going to get there, you know, and I saw my friends in the group, you know, make not leaps and bounds, but definitely moving a little quicker than me, getting the first clients. And I was always like a couple months behind. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. But then when it got to the time of thinking of doing the interview series last year, it was like, okay, I've got to face this procrastination. And the biggest thing that ran through my head the whole time was completion, not perfection, imperfect action. So get it done. It doesn't have to be perfect, because perfectionism and procrastination, I'm also a perfectionist. So, you know, I want the prettiest little headings, and, you know, as you might see in my emails and even for the series, is like, I wanted everything just right. I wanted to put a little picture up, and that takes a lot of time. And sometimes you just have to let all of that go and just get it done. So that was a huge thing to face for me, and really realize that underneath it all, it's all about just completing, getting into action, which we hear a lot. So there was that element, and then like the imperfect action, like being okay with it not being perfect, but being in action. So that is huge. And I think especially if you want to make these rapid gains and get your business going, you can't just sit around and think about it all day. You have to start writing it out and talking to people. And then, like you mentioned, the visibility, you have to make yourself visible. And I've always loved talking, as you might be able to tell. Like, I don't mind the camera at all, but there's still an element of like the procrastination or thinking a lot about doing it and not doing it. And now Facebook Live, you know, it got big last year at some point. So I have, and there's been a few weeks, including today. Today's Tuesday when we're recording this. And I just did the video today because yesterday I wasn't quite feeling it. And I've had a few of those, but you know, the perfectionist in me is like, what are you doing? It's Monday. You have to do it. But I've had to find that blend of, you know, get it done, but then also be okay, you know, if it's not right on time, still get it done though. Don't skip a week. So it's been a really great practice for me just to, you know, do it, to be visible, and to do it, to be in action still every week. And, you know, I think it is all energy. So it's been really cool to see the I don't know how long I've been doing it now, but a lot of stuff just has been moving with clients and this teacher training. And the more you talk about whatever it is that you're trying to do and just put yourself out there, people want to see you. Especially when we're doing online stuff. So I can feel the effects of just doing that, just talking about it and doing the videos. You know, it doesn't matter how many people view them, how many people like them and heart them. It's just putting your energy out into that like big wave of action, and the other stuff will start just showing up. It's been insane, but in my yoga classes here have been fuller than ever. It's just wild. So I do think that it's all in that, just getting in the flow and keeping your energy moving. And not sitting stuck, you know, in some way you have to always be in action.
Finding your flow and then flowing with it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Becca, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, sharing your lessons, sharing what you're doing and how you're doing it. I wish you all the best in the world for your new yoga teacher training course. I think that is absolutely fantastic. And you'll be a wonderful coach / yoga guide to all of your students coming into your program. Excellent. How can my students find you? Where can they go to find you and learn a bit more about you?
Send to my website. It's probably the easiest thing, or find me on Facebook, because I'm really active on Facebook. Rebekka is spelled Rebekka, Mars, like the planet Mars. So my website is all one word, RebekkaMars.com, or on Facebook. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one. If you type it in, you'll get my personal page or my business yoga coaching page, and you can definitely like or friend both. Emails, messages are all there. My newsletter, I think it should click up when you go to my website. I think a little box comes up. So if you want to hear from me pretty much weekly, try to send something out once a week or so, just insight and recipes and whatever I feel like sharing, so you can get on that list to share news about our interview series and all of that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Beck.
Thanks, Nikki.
Oh, you're so welcome. Hopefully, everyone, you have enjoyed this conversation and all the wisdom, the insights, and just that down-to-earth kind of feel. And it's giving you something to think about in building your business and life in the way that you would like to show up as a coach, a holistic coach, making a difference in the world and lighting the way for others. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.